Peter and John left me hanging. Luckily, my buddy Mikey came to the rescue, and we are going to talk about the self-hacking Amazon Echo device on today's Not So Critical update. So I'm going to start with this shot here, Mikey, and introduce you. You are standing in for John and Peter. I thought maybe we just would start the show and not even acknowledge that you're not
Like
John or
there's
Peter.
no switcheroo or anything.
Yeah, and just pretend like, what are you talking about? This is just how we always do the show. But thanks for joining. They backed out on me at the last minute, but we're going to power through and get a show put together here. I put some notes up on the Amazon Echo hacking itself, which is a good topic for you because you do a lot of these like smart home type installations, right?
I have done quite a number of them, yes.
Yeah. So the idea here is that somebody let me show the story, I guess. First of all, coming from Ars Technica, talks about how attackers can force Amazon Echoes to hack themselves with self-issued commands. And this is kind of a spin-off like the radio attack, right? Somebody on the radio could say, Alexa, do this stupid thing. I could have come up with something, I guess, before preparing the show, right? But same idea, right? Except they're issuing Alexa commands via its own built-in microphone.
Yeah, that was kind of the interesting part about the story is that the speaker of the device becomes the voice in the room. But I think the hack was through a Bluetooth vulnerability of some sort.
Yeah, so it does require getting within Bluetooth range of the device and being able to issue the like Bluetooth pair command to the Echo to connect your device. But then once you're connected, you can issue commands to it through that Bluetooth connection. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to be in the person's house first. So if there's hackers in your house, maybe you should need better friends.
But this is just one step, right? So this is you have to have a Bluetooth connect. You have to be able to connect to the device with Bluetooth, and then there's a couple other. So there's like the full voice vulnerability, compromise vulnerability, I guess that's also used here because of audio ducking of the Alexa device. It maybe wouldn't hear itself over the speaker, but combined they can get commands through. And then there's also a man-in-the-middle attack called a mask attack that you can, again, you have to be connected by Bluetooth, but once you're connected to the device, you can impersonate Alexa essentially, override the responses. It's kind of I want to say a fun little thing, right? But so how big a problem is this? Yes, you have to have physical access to the device to be able to get the Bluetooth pairing in the first place. Once you do, you have quite a bit of flexibility. So do we worry about this or not worry about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, Bluetooth range is like what, 30 feet or so. I'm sure it gets better every day, but I mean that's a big hurdle to overcome for your average hacker. They're not hanging out in your house trying to do nefarious stuff. I would see this more as people messing with their friends. Hopefully, I'm not terribly worried about this vulnerability. It would be nice if these large companies would see these things and then implement strategies to not allow them. So hopefully we'll see a follow-up by Amazon in the coming weeks, but who knows?
Yeah, so Bluetooth range, like I could sit out in the street and be within Bluetooth range of anything in my house. I wouldn't be able to pair from there. I'd have to be obviously within voice shot of the device to actually initiate the pairing. What about the possibility of compromising somebody's phone that's already paired with a Echo device?
Yeah, that's more interesting because the further remote the attacker is, the more precarious the situation becomes. So, like, if I can disguise myself in some way, I'm more nimble to be more nefarious. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I wouldn't have to drive around my neighborhood and be limited to just attacking my neighbors with something like this.
Right.
Yeah. But if I could,
if you're remote controlling some device that is paired with an Alexa, and everyone that has an Alexa has a paired device, like me included.
Okay.
So yeah, like now.
So if I could get on your phone,
like the security fence around my house, like everything needs a layer of security. So what do we do for that? A Bluetooth jammer outside?
Yeah, but I mean, it's just one more vector, right? And I talked to Peter and John about how I have the air conditioner in my office is Wi-Fi enabled so that I can turn it on and off. My lights, I have a Wi-Fi enabled light switch that goes through if this then that to control my studio lighting through the Google Home application. Like this is just one more vulnerability like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even get the truck in my driveway to connect to the Wi-Fi in my house to update its time today.
In
So
talking
I'm
about
not.
this, Google just
I,
woke up on my phone and asked how I could help. So that's kind of convenient. Thank you, Google, for offering,
where's
but we don't need
the
that.
GVA attack? I'm sure that's coming. This was they called this AVA, Alexa versus Alexa.
Yeah, I mean, I almost did it to myself right now. So if anybody was watching and I said, Google, well, I don't even know what the phrase was. I said, Google Home does this for me. Does that wake it up? Google Home. Hey,
I
Google,
think you did say
I'm
something
home.
about
Oh,
Google
there it
Home.
goes. How can I help? So I just did it to I attacked myself, GVA to myself.
GVA, it's a new thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you see any other interesting vulnerabilities like this in your installations?
I mean, when you talk about presence things, you're really at the mercy of the vendor of the product. There's not much you can do to prevent those type of things. I did have a customer ask me if he could basically turn off everything that's smart that has some type of radio signal coming out at a certain time of day to prevent himself from like getting brain cancer or something like that. I was like, well, I mean, we're going to need some smart things to make that happen, and then those smart things will have to make it unhappen when it's time to turn the Wi-Fi and everything else back on. And I was
Yeah,
basically like, no, that's
not
ridiculous.
really possible. Does this give you pause when you're doing these installations that you're creating all these vulnerabilities in your house?
Yeah, I mean, there is certainly concern, but I think you have to secure the data that you can, where you can, and then the rest of it you just have to live your life. Like if you have very sensitive data, you need to take stronger measures. And I know we've had a conversation about this before. Like if you're dealing with NSA secrets, then you don't need to have an Alexa in your house. Like those are just
Right.
the way it has to be. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have NSA secrets in your house.
Or I mean, your
But
your phone goes to work in the office. I
yeah.
don't know all the rules that they implement on their employees, but
Well,
the more
with work from
sensitive,
home.
yeah, like the most sensitive thing in digitally in my house is maybe like a spreadsheet with my electric bill or something. Like I don't really care.
But with work from home, a lot of us have work laptops. If my business is home based, I might have a small server in my house. Would you go so far as to like segment the networks
Oh,
typically,
absolutely.
or okay, standard practice, or if called for?
Yeah, I mean, if you're installing smart home devices like this, you're definitely using subnets. The smart devices, like I've used smart things and Alexas and Sonos amps and all that stuff, and they all go on their own subnet, like either 10 dot whatever or the 172 dot, one of the local IP spaces. And then the human traffic, like cell phones, laptops, iPads, things like that, go on a different subnet. So,
Hmm.
don't make it easy
Always, you
for
always do
for
that.
people. Yeah.
So I should move my air conditioner and my light switches and my camera on the outside of my house to their own subnet. Is your professional advice?
Yes.
All
I
right.
mean, there's a lot of equipment involved. Like you have to have a routers and everything that's capable of doing that. Your Wi-Fi access points. Like so, when I do smart home installations, I'm doing the core of the job is the network. So it kind of used to be like AV, like speakers and TVs and things like that. But now it's more like the internet and the
Hmm.
network. So that's where I focus, and that's where my expertise lies anyway. The other stuff is just the interaction points between the human and the technology.
Interesting. So I should not think of smart homes as necessarily automation or AV devices, but as network devices first. and then whatever functionality they provide second to that.
Yeah, and you should consider them vulnerable and able to attack whatever they can connect to.
Yeah. So
Like
the
we've all seen,
protection
like,
is
yeah, network level protection is about the best you can do.
isolate them on the network, but let them be in your house.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. Okay. So the
Haven't got
issue of,
hacked yet. I hope this isn't an invitation.
I know we try to make it clear. We do not want to be hacked. Do not hack us just
Yeah,
because we
that
have the
actually.
devices in our house.
So like for the last, I also do like host a couple websites and have a few like web servers in the cloud, blah blah blah, like DigitalOcean, Linode type stuff. Nothing crazy. And I have a DevOps background. And many years ago, I used to host websites at my house. I have really good internet, like a gig symmetrical, which is pretty good. This was years ago too. It was very reliable, and I'm like, I'm just going to host these websites at home. So I got a server, and I was doing all that, and um, things started to go haywire when like the power would go out, like the power would blink, and the server would go off or the network would go off. So I'm like, okay, well, I need battery backup. And then I'm like, oh, and then the internet goes out. And I'm like, okay, now I need a dual WAN router and pay for company A and company B and have them come in. And then I need a static IP. And I'm like, this is getting ridiculous.
You just
So I
created
moved
your own shared
everything to
hosting environment.
I did. So, but then I was like, this is too much, and this is not effective. Like the websites are becoming effects are trickling down basically. So I moved everything to the cloud. Now my cloud bill is so high that I'm actually working on bringing that stuff back into the house,
Oh, wow.
starting with a Proxmox hypervisor. Anyway, in a couple of weeks, I have like the basics done. So I'm going to say right now, I have a domain name that points to a Proxmox server from the internet, which you should never do. This is like a test to see if I can get hacked.
What's the name?
Before I bring that stuff back in-house, like literally in-house.
What's the name? What's the name of the domain?
Yeah, I'm not going to say. I think I did a pretty good job though. So like, it's a test. I'm going to run one website on it. That doesn't matter at all.
See how it goes.
See what happens.
All right. Well, you mentioned UPS. We have a story coming up about UPS. So I'll just run that one tomorrow. We'll wrap it up here for today and come back tomorrow to talk about UPS vulnerabilities.